December 19th, 2023. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the NinjaTrader platform using the 2000 tick chart. This is how I saw the charts today. The volume today was very similar to yesterday, but there seems to be a little more setups I could find than yesterday. However, the setups were very tricky. The reason being is it looked like there was a rally and then a pretty long consolidation. The problem with the rally and consolidation is it was in a very, very tight range. So if the second entry set up, my concern was often that the exit was going to yield very, very tight, mostly like 1 to 2 points. So if you're going for 1 point, you have to be very, very confident on your setup to ensure that you get out before a potential rejection or potential bounce. And so I took a total of 3 trades today. The first was a winner, and the last 2 were losers. The second trade, I think it kind of triggered me, and then I took a third trade over here, which I call a no reason trade. In other words, there was no reason to take this trade except for me just believing I was right. And fortunately, when I kind of almost went on tilt, I was able to pull myself back, and then I didn't trade for the rest of the day. I did watch the markets, but I think I was just mentally spent. The volume itself being so slow, I just had to watch these candles take forever to close, because you're going to see, like, from here, I'll just mark it out, from 9 o'clock, which is right here, to 10 o'clock, this is 1 hour of trading. This is 1 hour of price action. That's very, very tiny. Then from 10 o'clock, roughly here, to about 11, like, there's not very many candles here, so there's not very many setups. And if you did see a setup, it would take a long time for it to close. So it's, I think, an artifact of the fact that it's going into the end of the year, as well as things have just been slow in general. There was no economic data that I could find to really move the markets today. There were a few Fed presidents coming out to speak, and that might be one of the reasons that caused this quick, rapid reaction right around here. And I'm going to get to that when I get to that. So in the pre-market, as soon as I see this, I realized, just like yesterday, it was going to be probably a kind of a slow day. And it wasn't too surprising. So this is what happened. In the pre-market, it looked like it rallied hard. It hit some kind of resistance here and came back down. So I drew my pre-market highs and pre-market lows here. And then on the market open, prices start moving up. So I don't have this red channel drawn yet, but I do have this green channel. I'm thinking there's a green channel coming down and a green channel going up. So then I'm just watching and waiting. And prices continue moving. The first thing I notice is there's a consolidation area here, but this is a very tight range because it's only 4802 to about 4,850. So this is only about a 2-point range. So as the candles are printing, they themselves are only about 1 to 2 points big. So I had to be very careful. Saw a fail breakout. And this is actually where I saw my first setup. In hindsight, I think it was a little aggressive. This is my first trade. I saw that the prices are coming from a fail breakout. The EMA is holding. It has enough room to push to the top of the range. The signal bar is a little neutral. It could have been better. And again, I saw this as a little bit aggressive because I am pushing all the way past this range. So it's a little risky. I did also see kind of a larger visual first entry short than a second entry short, a potential second entry short failure. So I entered, right as this opened and it was flashing around, I entered at the top of this candle. It comes down, it almost stops me out because I'm actually one tick below this low. I survive and it comes up and gives me my profit. Now, again, when I look back, I think this was probably a trade I should have skipped. If anything, maybe I should have taken it on the fail breakout, but this fail breakout I wasn't confident in yet because I didn't find this channel until this bounced here. Then I thought, okay, there might be a yellow channel going up here. Nevertheless, this wasn't a very confident candle to be taking an entry on. So I was lucky because, as I said, it came right down. It had gone one more tick. There's a high chance that I would have gotten stopped out. But I survived this trade. And this kind of sets up for my mindset for the rest of the day that I should, I think, getting anxious because this already proved that I was anxious when I took this trade. Then prices continue moving. You do have a new high, first entry long. Technically, the count resets, but if you count as the second entry long, you could have potentially taken this trade, but I count this again as a first entry long. Plus, you're already pushing against the highs. So prices have never been up here. It doesn't mean that prices couldn't go up higher, but it just gives me a little bit more caution. I just had to be extra certain the trade's going to work out. Ideally, this candle would have stopped below and not made a double top. Prices then continue moving up. It consolidates in this, well, it kind of moves up on this yellow channel. And here, I find a potential trend line resistance up here where this red channel line is, and I kind of matched it at the bottom here. But I'm not sure because there's not enough confirmations for me to feel confident that this is a true valid red channel. I'm just watching and waiting. Prices then continue moving. So here's the same thing. You could have a new high, first entry long. You could count this as second entry long, or you could count this as a first entry long, which is what I did. But there's no real clean entry. This is just very congested side by side. These are almost doji candles right next to each other. I saw this as a new low, saw first entry short, pull back, second entry short. Now, this second entry short, this is a confirmed second entry short, but it's a weak second entry short because it's above the EMA. It almost reversed itself. So I'm thinking there's a failure. Of course, I didn't mark it yet because I don't know that it is. And I saw that there's just enough room from here, because right here where my cursor is 48.0775 and the high is 48.0875. So to take this trade feels risky. I thought it was an almost setup. I needed this whole setup or these to have been a little bit higher to ensure I can get more than just exactly 1 point. Because I don't want to come up here and then get rejected and your order might not be filled. So it looks like if you did enter, you would have been okay. Of course, you don't know that at the time. So this is what I call an almost setup. In other words, it's not there, but it was almost there. Prices then continue moving up. It confirms the top of this red channel pretty nicely, but there's no clean setup here. Prices then continue moving, creates a new high, creates a first entry long. Here, technically, it creates a second entry long, but from here, it makes 2 clean legs down. It's arguable where you could say this is a triple test or not. This is a good signal bar, but I didn't really like the EMA is going sideways. It could have easily been something a little bit higher here, and this could have been a failed breakout, second failed breakout. But when I saw it, I kind of drew it down. I thought it fit better here, but I wasn't really trusting the setup. And it creates a higher low here, but the higher low, there's not enough room to scalp out, so you had to set, it confirms the second entry long for sure, but it engulfs the 2 previous bars, so that's a good indication that there's momentum coming back in. The problem that I have is it also stopped right here, made a triple test, or not triple test, micro triple top, but there's also no room before you hit this double top that tested 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's 48.12 and it's 48.1275. So you're gonna have 3 ticks. To get even a full point, you'd have to ask that prices break through. And I wasn't sure that was going to happen. Of course it does. You have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. I didn't like the looks of the second entry short because I said, hey, it resisted right all the way back up. I think there might be a possible trade here. It turns out, looks like it would have worked. So I would have entered at 48.12 and gotten out at 48.13. It's for a quick scalp because price action is showing very, very tiny candles today. So pushing for 2 points is, in this case, in this instance, a little more ambitious. But this trade ends up working well because the EMA is holding. It did have a few breakthroughs at the bottom, but overall you can tell that the overall trend is bullish. So this is a possible trade. I think what have pushed it over the edge for me and had me jump on without question was if this ended up green. Even though it ended up red and is bullish, it just gave me a moment of pause. Then prices continue moving up. It breaks out of this red channel, causes a small little overshoot, creates a first entry long. Here, I saw this and I was thinking, could there be a second entry long? Is the EMA going to hold? Potentially, but I didn't like the looks of these as signal bars, and there's not much room to the top again. Turns out, let's see, you would have, it's debatable whether you would have gotten out because it looks like there's about 5 points, 5 ticks. So depending on how you entered, you may have gotten this trade or may not have, but it also has an overshoot. So I'm thinking it's going to come back and test the other side. Starts moving, hops around, it tests the top again, comes down, makes a first entry long, pulls back, creates a second entry long here. So first entry long, pull back, second entry long. It's all within this green down channel that I was wondering and I was waiting. Here, it breaks out of the green channel and actually creates what I think is a higher low. It's a confirmed higher low, The higher low, it's a break of this green town channel, and I'm expecting prices to come back and test the low. So I'm expecting a break and a move back down. And I saw this as one push up, pull back. This could be the second push up with a rejection on the EMA, with another push down to test this low. So that made me cautious on taking a long here, even though it's a higher low. So I'm watching. It creates this first entry short, second entry short. This is a good signal bar, and I missed this trade because I don't think I was paying attention. I'm not sure I was watching this chart very carefully, but this is unfortunately a really good setup that I did not take because there's enough room from here down to here. It works, it flashes down, it's going to do, everything's going for it. It bounced and rejected by the EMA. It's coming from this side, coming back down to this side. It's the second entry, and there's enough room to the bottom, and it looks like it would have worked. And then here I see a hidden second entry long. It's a new high. It's a first entry long right here. And it creates a second entry long. As soon as it breaks down and comes right back up, all within this candle creates that second entry long. The thing I didn't like about the second entry long is the downtrend here definitely has played out, but it also tried to move back up. I was interrupted by a telephone call. So it broke out, it tested the new lows. Now it's coming back up. There's not enough room to the EMA because the EMA has proven twice now that's going to hold. It was a little bit conflicting ideas because I did see some kind of support here. And I was wondering if there was actually a larger range up here, something like this. So it's here is a little confusing. It's a little hard to tell. It engulfed this previous candle, which is nice. And I wasn't sure, so I had to leave it alone. Plus, I'm thinking if this red channel is in play, then it's going to start pushing back in. So I left it alone. It consolidates for a little bit and it starts pushing up. Part of the problem is, if you look at these candles, they're taking like, this is 912, 914, 920. So this between these two is 4 minutes. Then 921, 924, another 3 minutes. Then here, 927. So another 3 minutes, another 2 minutes, another. So things are just slowing down. There's another solid 3 minutes for price action. These candles are taking a little bit longer to close out, and it just makes me nervous when I have to sit in a trade for too long or watching it kind of close out. The problem probably could be solved if I went to like a different tick level, like a 1000 tick or a 1500 tick chart, but I think it'd just be too noisy or be more noisier, but I'm sticking with the 2000 for now. This is actually where I take my second trade. So on ULO, I saw first entry short, pullback, second entry short. Second entry short technically has not failed yet, but I'm watching it. And when this closed very bullish, I'm thinking this is about to fail. It fails. I didn't get the entry right at the highs and it started to move without me. So I got a little bit of FOMO. I chased it by one tick, which is fine. You know, I moved it one tick above the previous close. What happens was it moves 3 ticks, double tops, and then it comes back down and it takes me out. So this kind of annoyed me a lot. What happened was after the bounce off the EMA, I was thinking, okay, obviously prices are going to push back in. It's coming back into this red channel. So it's going to come back up and potentially test the other side of the red channel, or at least come back up to the highs, which is this big range. So when I saw this really strong candle and I entered, it also closed really strong here. I was thinking, okay, well, it just has to move 4 ticks, 1 point, one more tick, and I would have been out. Or had I had a better entry down here, there's a chance I might have gotten out, but it's exactly 4 ticks, so it's a little debatable. You ideally want 5 ticks or one more tick than what you're asking for in your profit target to ensure you get out. So it stopped short by 1 tick, and then it failed, and it took me out. So that annoyed me a lot. The problem was, since it annoyed me, and I looked at it after calming down, in hindsight, I think this trade should have been left alone because I was thinking after this orange channel, which is what I was playing originally, it broke out. It already tested a new high. So the uptrend has played out now. So to ask for it to push up a little bit more might have been a little dicey on this orange channel. Later, I drew this yellow channel because it fit pretty well. And again, in hindsight, maybe this trade should have been skipped because it is a failed second entry short starting from the bottom. Ideally, you want to see a failed second entry short where it starts and completes above the EMA, but it was a little bit more confusing. On top of that, if you look at this 48.14 to 48.10, so this is only 4 points of trading range, so it is a little bit tight here. So in hindsight, of course, after, if it worked out, I'm not sure I would have analyzed it the same way. But since it didn't work out, I scrutinized it a little bit more thoroughly, and I think I should just skip this trade. So when I lost and it bounced here, I believed in my yellow channel so much that I said, obviously, it didn't work the first time. I'm going to get back on the horse. I'm going to take a long setup, and it's going to go back into this yellow range like it's supposed to. So as you can see, when it ticked one tick above this guy, I entered. And here's the thing. I don't know exactly what happened at 10 a.m., except that a Fed member was speaking, probably right around here. And as they were talking, it was staying up here for the majority of the time. Then at the last moment, it flash crashed all the way down. It went, shoop, and then it took me out. And I was just like flabbergasted. I was super surprised. Again, this is a no reason trade though, so I shouldn't have been in this trade in the first place because the only reason that I was going for it, other than maybe it's bouncing off the EMA, is I thought I was right. Based off of nothing, I just said, I'm obviously right. I'm going to go long. It didn't work out. Punish me. At this point, I saw I had two losing trades in a row. I had first trade was good. Second trade was kind of frustrating. Third trade was shouldn't have been taken. I pulled myself back and I said, okay, obviously I'm not in tune. I need to be very careful. I don't want to lose any more money. So I decided to just wrap it up for the day. So I wrapped it up for the day, and I'm kind of okay with that because the rest of the day, it created a lot of second entries, but they were all kind of iffy. So if you took a low here, first entry short, second entry short, technically it's right here. Even if you took a bigger second entry short, you kind of group this together as first entry short, second entry short. This is a terrible signal bar. It wouldn't not make me think to go short here. Then it kind of flashes down, and then this is a really strong bar. It would not make me think I'm going to have a failed second entry short to suddenly go long. So you had to sit this out and just keep watching and waiting. Here you do have another high, first entry long, second entry long, but this is too far from the EMA. It's not a really good signal bar. Nothing tells me to get ready to take a long position. Flashes up. Same thing here. You got a triple test or a triple top. First entry long, second entry long. Now here, however you drew it, even if you drew like a channel here, you could argue you might, this is a very big channel though. You have two pulls, pushes down, and it's almost measured. So one push down here, second push down. Now you could think that's starting to reverse. So this is a decent signal bar, but as I said, at this point I was looking, but I was just kind of keep calm and just, I'm going to come back and trade again tomorrow. But today I just kind of wrapped it up. So I was seeing this, and even if you took this trade, it'd be at 48.1450. 48.1550, one whole point is right here. So you need one more tick to push through. So that's not a very convincing trade or a very convincing setup. Then prices continue chopping. You have a first entry, new high, first entry long, second entry long. Again, this is a terrible looking signal bar to even think about going long. Keeps chopping around. And I want to point out, as I pointed out earlier, the price action here is clearly coming to a crawl now because here is like 9 o'clock all the way to about 10 o'clock. This is 1 hour of trading. That's very slow. Then again, I'm going to draw 2 hours. So this is from 10 o'clock all the way to 12 o'clock. So this is 2 hours of price action, which is very, very slow. So I had to be very careful, and I'm actually glad I stayed out of this because it would have been frustrating to watch. And I think in this 2 losses in a row, in my emotional state, I probably would just be get triggered and end up losing a little bit more money. When prices continue moving, is a new low, it's first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here, or getting ready, and you have a confirmed second entry short. This is a terrible signal bar to go short, so you might be thinking, okay, well, obviously I'm going to go long. Well, I thought about that. Would there be a long trade there? Well, it depends on how you drew your potential range. Here, you're potentially pushing up against the top of this range. It's a strong signal bar, but again, seeing how things have turned out, this is 1 point right here, so this is 4 ticks. You'd have to ask that prices push all the way up to here. Could happen, and it does, but you don't know at the time. And it just gets really choppy all the way into the close. So it kind of rallies, and this is the last, I guess, 10 minutes. And as you can see, like the last 10 minutes is equivalent to about an hour back here. So it's just very, very slow price action today. Excuse me, low volume, but the price action was a little trickier. It's just very condensed. So ended up I think right after this loss, it was good that I just stepped away because this is about 3 more hours of trading, but there wasn't very like awesome opportunities here. So I don't feel like I missed out, and just had to lick my wounds today and accept that I have a red day. So hopefully that was helpful.